Hey guys, welcome back to another video. In this video, we're going to be looking at function transformations. So transformation is basically taking a function and transforming it into something that's a little bit different. So to do this, we're going to be using a free app that you can access online. It's called Desmos. I think there's also a Desmos app you can download for your iPhone or Android. So in Desmos, essentially it's just a fancy graphing calculator or a simple graphing calculator. What we have here is just the parent function for our quadratic function. So a quadratic function is f of x equals x squared, and you can see we've got our nice parabola here. And we're just going to look at what we could do to transform this function. Now there's five different types of transformations, so we're going to look at those. If you're not familiar with them, you might want to take notes on this because we're going to come back to this constantly throughout Algebra 2. So this is something that is just so foundational, so important. You're going to get used to it. You're going to know how to do it. Like, you just have to go through Algebra 2. So let's take a look at this. First thing we might do is, to this equation, what if we just added a number onto the end? So if we added a number onto the end, notice what it did to our graph over here. Again, there's our normal parent function, and then if we add 5, notice it shifts the whole thing upward. This is our first type of transformation. This is called a vertical shift. A vertical shift, and that just means that we're moving the function up or down. Now if we wanted to move it down, instead of adding 5, we just subtract 5, and you can see that the whole thing gets shifted downward by 5. So minus 5, it gets shifted downward. The second type of transformation, notice what if we put in some parentheses here around the x. Notice that didn't do anything yet, it's still the same function, but what if we added 5 in here inside these parentheses? Look at that. Notice that it gets shifted to the left. Whoops, typed in the wrong thing. Okay, notice if we add 5, it gets shifted to the left. So not to the right, plus 5 shifts it to the left if it's inside these parentheses. This is our second type of transformation. This is called a horizontal shift. Horizontal shift just means we're moving the whole function left or right. Now, you might have seen there a second ago because I accidentally typed it in. If we do x minus 5, then it shifts it to the right. Okay, so inside these parentheses, if we do plus, if we add number, it'll shift it to the left, and if we subtract a number, it'll shift it to the right. All right, let's set this back to just our standard function. What if instead of adding or subtracting a number, what if we threw a number out front? So let's put that 5 just out here in the front. Notice what happened. Here's our regular one. We'll add the 5 out, or we'll multiply by 5 out front. Notice it like shrinks it or pushes it in together, makes it kind of skinnier or thinner. This is called a shrink. This is called a shrink. So that's our third type of transformation. Anytime we multiply by a number greater than 1 out front, then it will shrink the function or make it thinner. Now, what if we multiply by a number that was less than 1? So really, you can think about this as like dividing by a number. So what if we multiplied by like 1/5? Notice what happened there. Again, you can think of this as dividing by a number or multiplying by a number less than 1 but greater than 0. So it's like a fraction somewhere between 0 and 1. And notice, so like 1/5, notice it gets kind of stretched out. Again, I'll take that out. There's the regular normal parent function. Then let's multiply by 1/5, and boom, you can see it kind of gets stretched out. So this is called a stretch. Our fourth type of transformation is called a stretch. And then our last one is actually pretty simple. What if we throw a minus sign out front? So notice if we just multiply by a negative, or we throw a minus sign out front in front of the function, it reflects it, or it flips the function. This is called a reflection. This is called a reflection, and it just reflects the entire function over onto the other side of the x-axis. Now it is important to realize that it does matter where you put the minus sign. For example, if I put these parentheses back in and put the minus minus sign in there, notice it didn't do anything to the function. That's because with this specific function, remember squared means to multiply something by itself. So if you take a negative and multiply by negative, you're back to a positive, so it kind of cancels itself out. But if we stick the minus sign out front, then it does reflect. So it does matter with a reflection where you put the minus sign, so just keep that in mind. So again, remember all of our different transformations. We have the vertical shift, just shifts it up and down. Horizontal shifts, shift the function to the left or to the right. Stretch will kind of make it a little bit wider, stretch it out. And then a shrink will kind of squish it together, we'll shrink it kind of in the X direction. And then a reflection will reflect it or flip it over to the other side of the X axis. All right, guys, that's all from me. I hope you enjoyed the video. Thanks for watching.